that ghost team will be present during qualifications and in elims. But that way we can run the full slate of 12. What does this mean? Well, this means that if we have 11 teams, there we will have several matches of 2v3 in qualification, and in elims, one of the alliances will have only 2 robots. To make up for this, the Phantom robot essentially will be given a point value based on the averages for the event, and that point value will just be added to the score of the alliance it's a part of. And that point value is actually like it'll actually be a mid climb, it'll actually be 2 cargo or a taxi, etc., etc. So depending on the average of the event for each section, for autonomous, for end game, and for teleop, it'll just have a point value applied. So that's Team Update 3. Happy to field any questions on that in the chat. If you haven't said hi, or if you're confused with what I'm talking about, please throw your whatever you got in there. And if you want to look at it afterwards, it is in our Discord, and I will be sending it out to all the participating teams this week. You can also just check our manual. Just an update on the event schedule. The schedule remains the same. So if you haven't looked at what times you can show up on Friday and Saturday, please do. Volunteers queue at 3 p.m. on Friday, and teams can show up, and pits open at 5 p.m. We will be running practice matches on Friday. The field is more than partly set up already. We'll be much faster this time around. We apologize about last time. We were just doing it all for the first time. But this time we will be running practice matches, so please, if you'd like to get some practice in before the event on Saturday, come load in Friday night and get some practice in. As a reminder regarding inspection, unless you opted in your registration form, you will not be receiving a full inspection. It'll just be a safety inspection. This inspection process takes about 15 minutes, could be less, but you do need to be safety inspected in order to be practicing in the practice matches. And the last announcement's a little of a downer. We do not have a workshop lined up for this weekend. Unfortunately, we had to push some things, and we just didn't have a backup. So this is also an ad for if anyone watching, if you guys have anything you'd like to have a workshop on, if your team's really good at imagery, if your team's really good at grant writing, if your team's really good at building bumpers, and you'd like to host a workshop at an ARL event, please reach out to me, and we'll get it scheduled. We'd love to have it. Clearly, we don't have one for this event, so we need more. So that's all the housekeeping I have for y'all. If you caught our first episode of the June qualifier warm up, you'll know that we are going to go through all of the teams competing this weekend, and we'll look at how they either did at their first ARL event, or if this is their first ARL event, we will look at how they did during the 2021 FRC season. So, first up is 498, and Alex, why don't you tell us a little about them, how they did at their first ARL event?
Well, I'm sure you already know, Luke. They're pretty freaking good. They were ranked number 1 at the last ARL event in June. Captain of the first alliance, I believe they picked the Bit Buckets, my alma mater, who together they won the event. They had 48 total championship points. 498 has shown themselves to be a really consistent, high-scoring robot with some excellent driving. And then, at least for me, I expect them to do well this time around as well. Next up, we have 1165. This year, it seems like they're a defense-only robot. They have some potential for a mid-climb, but we're not entirely sure how it's going to work out this time. In the past, because they're defense only, they have been prone to getting red cards. So especially at like a smaller event like this is a huge deal, just because there's maybe not as many matches getting played. So we'll see if they're able to avoid red cards this year and how they're able to do. 2403 was a really good robot from the last ARL. I believe they were ranked 3. They were the first pick of the second alliance, and they had total of 34 championship points. 2403 Plasma Robotics they have a really cool turret mechanism. They've showed themselves to be kind of susceptible to defense, though. So if they're able to avoid that, they have some problems to do well. But We'll see. We'll see how they do.
I will say
90.
that Plasma were rank 1 for pretty much the entirety of the June event, and then one unlucky pneumatic break in their last qualification match. They ended up with 0 RPs, and that's what dropped them to 3. So they had a really, really good showing in the last ARL, and I would expect big things out of them for this one.
Definitely, definitely. They had a great showing in the finals. It's unfortunate about that breakage.
Mm-hmm.
9403. They were ranked 8 at the last ARL. In June, they had 18 championship points. If I'm being frank, I don't know a lot about this robot or
Yeah,
about this team.
so
They're a newer team, and I haven't been living in Arizona recently, so
no,
I'd be
I got you.
not
We're
sure.
tricking you here.
Yeah.
This is Plasma Robotics' second robot, so it's just the
Oh,
2
got it,
gets
got it.
dropped away and the 9 is in front. The robot at ARL in June, I should have grabbed a photo. I didn't. That's on me. It's defense only, but it does climb mid. So if you were able to see Plasma's 2020 robot, that's what they're using. But it's well driven. It plays defense really well because it plays smart, and because the climbing bar is the same bar from 2020. The climbing mechanism on the 9403 robot does work. So they are a formidable defender. They do taxi and auto, and they climb mid bar. So the rank 8 is no joke, and they should fit an alliance at this next upcoming event really well.
Well, I'll look forward to that then. Then next is 2449, Out of Orbit Robotics. They've been in the Arizona robotics scene for a long time, so they have that history. They've been practicing their defense seemingly for all of the 2022 season. At least last time we saw them, they didn't have a climb. If they added one, they could be a really good second round pick for this ARL. Um, if they have we're not sure if they have a local in auto could also be greatly beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, I think most of what we know is that they have really well practiced defense, and that they have that established that history that'll really help them out.
I'm
Um,
very familiar with 2449 as they were subbed in to play defense in semifinals at Valley
yeah,
against 498, and it's good. You know,
yeah,
if they can lock that in and maybe add a climb at the end, I think they will be on some teams' pick lists this weekend.
yeah. Next up, I think, is the Coconuts, a team that I'm sure everyone in the Arizona region is familiar with, Team 2486. They had a really good record last year. They did pretty well. They have historically done really well, and every year they come up with a good robot. So they were ranked number 2 at the Utah Regional. They were the finalists at the Colorado Regional, and they were also the finalists at the Utah Regional. They won the Engineering Inspiration Award at Arizona North this year. They've won Regional Chairman's Award. Um, Sidebar, but I'm hoping this coming year is the year that they win, that they get the championship chairmans. But we'll see.
Certainly
Uh,
deserving. They definitely had a banger
yeah,
of a season. It's not listed on our slide, but they were quarterfinalists in their division at championship. They have an excellent robot, climbs traversal, shoots high, swerve drive all over the field. So definitely a threat to look out for.
yep. They weren't at the last event. They're driving all the way down from Flagstaff.
Mm-hmm.
Predict they'll do well. Definitely a team to look out for.
Actually, I will
Um,
use this as a topic point because I skipped it in the housekeeping. But as plasma or as the coconuts will do this weekend, and as the Bit Buckets did at our first event in June, you are able to come into town into Phoenix and just compete on Saturday. You don't have to check in Friday in order to compete on Saturday. So if you're traveling a long distance, you don't want to pay for a hotel room, please just still register. Come on in on Saturday. All you're gonna miss is some practice matches, and if you're okay with that, then that's great, right? You can still compete. Obviously, it's free. You just obviously come into town and compete. So I skipped over that in the housekeeping, but the talking about the coconuts reminded me about that. So
yeah. Next up, I think we have 2662, the Robo Crew. They were ranked 11 at the last ARL. They had 14 total championship points. if I remember correctly, they were primarily a defense robot. I think they have the potential to score up high, but they just didn't weren't able to hit the consistency, I think, during the regular season. Um, so we're excited to see what they're able to pull off this weekend. Hopefully they're able to get their scoring working. Um, I think next we have the launch team, 6352. They're ranked number 5 at the last ARL with 20 championship points. Um, I remember, I think it might have been 2019 at Arizona North. I remember just hanging out with these guys. They were really cool. Really looking forward to watching them play this year. What do you remember about their robot this year, Luke?
Yeah, so Launch Team has a really consistent traversal climber. You know, uh, I think, and we'll get to it as one of our storylines and things to look for. But the very fast turnaround of ARL matches, qualification matches, I mean, because we don't have a lot of teams or we don't have a large number of teams registered. There's a very fast turnaround of qualification. So if something were to break or go wrong on your robot, you don't have a whole lot of time to diagnose it and fix it. And I think Launch Team maybe had a couple little hiccups during the day and some things that would normally be natural and things you could address, but because of the fast turnaround, maybe they couldn't address it as much as they wanted to. I know that they surprisingly missed the elimination round at the last ARL event. That caught me off guard, to be honest with you. Um, um, so this time around, I really think they'll be either a captain or definitely be part of an alliance. They have a traversal, they shoot an auto, they shoot high in teleop. I know that they're probably training new drivers, but this is the second event that the drivers are they've had practice now. So I'd look out for 6352 to captain or to certainly be a first pick of an alliance.
Yeah. I think next up we have 6413 Degrees of Freedom. They did really well at the last ARL. They were ranked number 2 as captain of the second alliance. They showed themselves to be a really, really competitive robot at the last ARL. They were able to score in the high goal pretty consistently and able to handle some moderate defense without getting completely shut out. They had a climber.
Mm-hmm.
What I remember, it was they weren't able to get it all the way to the traversal. Is that correct, Luke?
Yeah, I think they got it there maybe once or twice. I know
Yeah.
it's mostly a time thing.
Yeah.
So I really like the Degrees of Freedom robot. Shout out to our other co-host Izzy.
Yep.
Right, I think it's a really good robot. This is the highest at the first ARL event is the highest they've ever ranked. They were a captain and they honestly just missed out on pushing the finals to a third match.
Yeah.
Very close score in the second final. So I really think that if the Degrees of Freedom can speed up their traversal, and start hitting it more consistently, that they're very they're a real contender, right? We don't have a massive pool of traversals, so having a consistent one is very noticeable, and I think that they'll do well again.
Yeah. I would be really surprised if they weren't at least an alliance captain or in the position to be an alliance captain
Mm-hmm.
at this event.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yep,
definitely going to be a competitive team this weekend.
I agree.
Next up, we've got 6479. Um, they last time they had a pretty good record. They were ranked number 26 at Arizona Valley. Um, I think they weren't at the last ARL. So
Correct.
we don't
This would be the
necessarily
first one.
know about a lot of that. Maybe we don't know about some of the changes that might have made in the off season. They won the autonomous award. Uh,
I will say
so
that the Aztecs they're so close. I feel like they've been so close all year. They were at Arizona Valley and I kind of had a feeling where the Aztecs would fall. They are too good to not be picked by a lower seed, right, as the second robot. They pick up they collect, they intake balls well, they shoot balls well, they climb mid, they're fast. There's just a couple things that if they were able to dial in, or if they're able to dial in since if they've tweaked anything since the end of the season. They have a launch pad shot, which isn't common in Arizona, right? Shooting from the protected zone, that's not common. Um, if they can get their climber working well, and they have a really fast release of the, some almost too fast. A lot of their shots bounce off each other. So if they could slow that down, they really can shoot very well. So I think the Aztecs will be a valuable part of an alliance, specifically if a playoff alliance wants to go triple offense. If we're looking at a triple offense alliance this weekend, I imagine that the Aztecs will be part of it. Yeah, I think they're a couple steps away, but if they fixed anything, in the offseason, I'm excited to see what they got.
Yeah, 7755 is up next. They're the Phantom Circuits. They seem to be an every bot
Mm-hmm.
robot. They weren't at the last ARL, so it's a little bit up in the air about how they'll be doing, because we don't have a lot to base it on. They've played a lot of defense in their last season. It looks like they were ranked 23 at Arizona Valley. Bit of an enigma. I
Mm-hmm.
expect them to play some defense. It doesn't, from what I am seeing in my notes, it doesn't look like they got a lot of red cards. They're particularly incident prone, so they could be
Mm-hmm.
a valuable robot to select
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you
I think
like
that
defense.
maybe an unforeseen risk of the Everybot design this year is that with the big intake out the front or out one of the ends, that it was really easy to pick up those G202 penalties, right?
Yeah.
For entering someone's frame with the ARL rule changes, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, feel free to reference the ARL rulebook. Um, we've changed that so unless there is damaging contact, we've gotten rid of the just going inside someone's frame and it's a penalty. So I think in every bot design is much more safe at an ARL event. They can keep that intake down rather than pick it up and change their entire CG.
Yep.
And scoring an auto and low and climbing mid is a valuable thing. So we'll see if maybe they can show off some good defense in qualification and in a consistent auto, and they make it to playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, Hopefully they're able to pull it off. And next up, I think we got 8848. Or, oh, nope, sorry, 8021. I got a little, oh, I think Meyer.
Oh no, I don't have a slide. I messed up.
Uh-oh.
My bad.
Well, I can talk about them real fast. I think next on our dock, at least, 8021. 2021 was their rookie season. They're a low scoring robot. They shoot from the tarmac line. They're particularly susceptible to defense just because they're a low robot shooting from the tarmac, so it's easy to get in the way of them. They have a mid climb, seem to be pretty consistent. So they should also be a robot that will be at least like a first pick by one of the alliance captains, just with the climb and the ability to score in the central goal. They should be pretty competitive. Um,
Awesome. And
if
our
we
last team. Oops. Uh huh. Oh no.
well, I
There we
think we
go.
have two more teams. Luke, we got 8745.
Wow.
Unless
There's
I'm mistaken.
two missing slides.
Uh-oh.
Don't worry, my slide guy is gonna get a talking to. Yeah,
uh,
8745 the Robe Eagles. Let's.
yep, Rogue Eagles.
Yeah.
High goal turret. They have vision tracking now, shown themselves to be good in the past. They have a mid climb. They're effective, especially when undefended, but I feel like everyone can say that. Just in the past, they've done the best when they're undefended on their own side of the field. Um, they were the highest rookie seed at Arizona North, being ranked 12, and rookie inspiration at Arizona Valley. Definitely have high expectations for this team. They've shown themselves to be good at both those events, so really hoping they're able to pull it out. And then the last robot is 8848. I think you have a slide for, Luke. Yep.
Yes, we're back. Slide guy
Yeah.
wins. We're back on track.
Yeah. All right. As you guys can see from the photo, their robot is absolutely beautiful. Um, oh, they're ranked number 6 in the last ARL, second pick of the first alliance, 38 total championship points. I'll be frank, I'm not as familiar with this team as I should be. Um,
Yeah, they were the second pick of the winning alliance at the first ARL event. But just like 63-52, if the playoffs were expanded, if there was the full four alliances like we're expecting this weekend, they would be a captain. They're that good. They have a traversal. They have double intakes on both sides of their robot, and they shoot high. They're really zippy around the field. 8848 is another team, kind of like launched the same way, where they had a couple little hiccups robot wise during the day, and just because of the fast turnaround, they weren't able to like get those things fixed in time for playoffs. So they weren't climbing traversal in the playoffs, but I expect, knowing 8848, I expect they'll have that fixed, and they'll be ready to go for this next event.
Yeah, it looks like they at Arizona Valley they won the All-Star and highest rookie seed, and they made it to Newton where they did pretty well with the record of 5-6. So
Yes, and I said this at the warm up episode 1, but if you don't know 8848, you really want to keep your eye on them.
yeah,
If you know Arizona FTC at all, you'll know Valley X. They're a world champion FTC program in Arizona. This is their school, so same same minds working on their FRC program now. So they are a rookie team. They were a rookie team last year, but they certainly don't look like it on the field. Um, Speaking of championship points, let's check in at our ARL standings for a reminder for everyone who missed the June qualifier. If you're interested in how or why this works, the ARL follows a sort of pseudo district point model, depending on how well you do at the event, both with your win loss during qualification, or your RP average during qualification, and then the alliance you're on and how you do in playoffs. You gain points based on how you do, and these points will determine your ranking going into the ARL Championship in November. So the each team competing in ARL is required to attend 2 events, and we will take your top 2 scores from those events. So the 2 events with the highest scores will get added together, and that is your overall rank score. So, right, as the winning alliance captain of the first event, 498 is atop with 48 qualification points. And then right below them is the Bit Buckets, who aren't competing this weekend. Right below them is 8848 with 41. Right, and we go down the list here. So we probably, depending on how this weekend shapes up for these teams, we could see a change in the overall leaderboard. Right, certainly the Bit Buckets 4183 will fall way down the list, but obviously with a grain of salt, know that it's because they haven't competed at a second event yet. We will see 88-48, 64-13, 24-03, 63-52. All those teams will rise very high up the list, and we could have a shakeup at the top of the leaderboard depending on how the teams do this weekend. So keep an eye on that. We will cover the overall standings again at our follow-up episode next Wednesday, a week from today. The extra innings episode 2 for the July qualifiers, so be there at 7 p.m. and we'll talk about the new ARL championship standings. Okie doke. So going into the July qualifier, what kind of storylines are we looking at? If you missed the June qualifier, if you're not paying attention, and you're looking at watching this weekend, what should you be looking for? Well, we kind of alluded to it when we were going over the teams. But the impact of the increased pace of play is a big topic point, right? So, Alex, I don't know what you think of, right? Like, the time between matches, because the team size is smaller than a regional, is faster. So there's less time to work on your robot. Do you think that is going to affect teams the same this time around, or do you think teams will have learned?
well, I mean, we saw it affect just about everything last time with a lot of robots that were doing well, having some relatively minor issues that just sort of spiraled into bigger problems and caused them to maybe not place as well or do as well as they would have otherwise. I think that unfortunately there's just not a lot that teams can do about this. Like, uh, you can't really adjust to how long it takes for you to fix your pneumatic system in your robot
Mm-hmm.
or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So While I hope that teams are able to have fewer issues this time, I don't think that teams will have the ability really to adjust to this new pace of play. I'm hoping that just with teams having competed before, they'll be able to streamline some of their like pre-match and post-match checklists and like planning and strategy sessions and stuff. So hopefully we'll see fewer issues. But my honest prediction is that we'll still see some problems with robot consistency just due to the fact that everything's going to be a lot faster, and so you won't have time to really tweak your robot in between matches like you would at a normal event.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think the teams who competed at the first ARL will be a little bit more um, on guard, if you will, and ready to maybe sit a match out even to get that problem fixed. Just looking at how many matches there are and how fast the turnaround are, missing one, but so that you can function and you make sure you get picked in playoffs could be a good trade off. Um, but I think you're right. I think that until we have 20, 25 teams at the events, the pace of play is going to kind of be what it is, and teams will have to adjust. And I think we will see, teams have to deal with that again the same way they did at the last event. Alrighty, what else can we look forward to this weekend? Big discussion point, I hope so, at least I hope, amongst some of the top teams and when they look strategy-wise at what alliances they're going to build. The question is, how many traversal climbs will the Linning Alliance utilize? Alex, how many traversal climbs did the June qualifier winning alliance have?
Well, they only had one. They only had one traversal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm hoping that this time around, we'll have some more traversals. Teams will have gotten their climb tuned up, and hopefully some of the robots that we're adding will make traversal more common. But frankly, I think that especially at the last event, having a climb was extremely important, and arguably some of the reasons that the teams that did well ended up doing well. I mean, just so many points this year that you kind of can't you have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'm hoping that some of the teams that we added are going to be hopefully shake that up a little bit and make it a little closer in the midfield. Um, but I kind of think it's going to be pretty similar to what happened at the last event.
Yeah, it kind of flows into our last storyline point, so we'll just get right into it. But you know, um, the what alliance composition can we expect, and how many traversal climbs are we going to see? Uh, because of the creation of the Phantom team, we are guaranteed to have the full 4-team bracket for our limbs at this for this weekend. Whereas last time we only had 2 teams competing, right? So they were kind of stacked alliances, right? Teams that would have been alliance captains in a 4-team bracket were the third robots of the 2 teams competing, right? So what will we expect to see in the shift in alliance composition? Well, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think we're gonna still see a high climb plus a traversal, maybe 2 of those alliances. Maybe we see a 2 traversal alliance. I definitely think that rather than pick up, I don't think there will be any traversals left on the board as your third robot like there was at the first event. So I definitely think we're going to see a lot more picks that are purposeful for defense, right? And looking for whatever point value they can harness out of those teams, right? If you have a mid climb or if you have a low climb, and then there's another defensive robot that doesn't have a mid climb or a low climb, well, you're probably going to get picked over them because, as we saw in the finals of the June event, those points, even if they're small, like they can mean the difference between winning and losing, right? Even a taxi, having a taxi, the ARL June event was decided on 1 point. Taxi's 2 points, right? That would have decided the whole thing, right there. So, if you're preparing for this event and you think you may not be ranking high, right? If you're looking at where would you fit in a playoff alliance, right? I would try to dial in the easy stuff. Taxi, and if you have a climber, doesn't matter if it's a low climber, get up every game, right? Get off the ground. Those are points that you can add to your alliance score. That there might be a team out there who maybe they drive better than you or they're faster, but they're not giving you those points. And I think that's going to be super crucial when people are building a alliance for this weekend.
Absolutely. The points will always be beneficial, and at the very minimum, you got to show that you can get up there consistently.
Mm-hmm.
It'll really make the difference. Do you want to get into predictions, Luke?
Heck yeah. So we're nearing the end of our show here, and so we're going to have predictions like we did for the June qualifier. Now, the last time I made predictions, I'm going to preface this. The last time I made predictions based on a 4-team bracket, and there was only there was only a 2-team bracket for the finals. So my record, I'm just going to start over. I'm not, like, percentage-wise, I'm still good, right? We're starting over. I didn't take any L's last time, right? That didn't happen, so we're starting over. So let's take a look at our predictions, right? I will, if you want me, I'll talk through mine, and you can talk through yours. We're kind of on similar wavelengths. I have the really powerful robot, the Coconuts. I have them seeding number 1. I think that their consistent traversal that they dialed in at championship, along with the speed of their swerve and how they are popping in shots at every event they went to, I think they will seed number 1 with ease. I think they take the next best traversal and high goal scorer. Now I know 8848 didn't have their traversal dialed in by the time playoffs came around at the June event, but I think given the month off, and I think and I have full confidence in that team. I think they've probably got that thing buttoned up. I think they're going to be shooting much better. And we know from the whole season that the Coconuts are very comfortable with, double traversing, side-by-side climbing. So I think that they go with 8848 because 8848 will maybe not outshoot the next 2 teams on Alliance number 2, but they definitely will traversal. Whereas the 498, who I have captaining number 2, and 2403, their first pick, neither climb traversal. 2403 could. It's out there. But we'll see if they have that fixed for this coming one. But they'll be there 2 high climbers. They'll high climb together, right? 2 high climbers versus 2 traversals, talking about a difference of 10 points. If 498 and 2403 can ball out and outshoot and get some good defense from their third, maybe there's a way they can take the whole thing home. I have the launch team back and with a vengeance, captaining rightly as they should have at the last event. The number 3 seed, I think they pick up Degrees of Freedom with their first pick. So there's another potential double traversal on the board. Whereas that alliance build maybe doesn't shoot as high as powerful as the number 2 seed, but they out traverse them, right? And then pulling up with the 8 seed, I have the Robe Eagles, who shoot very well, and they have an auto shot. I have them picking up 8021, and on the back end picking up 9403 for, like we talked about, they climb high or they climb mid, and they're a good defender, and they have a taxi. I think where the number 3 seed looks at their shooting differential versus the number 2 seed, and they pick up 6479, who can climb mid and shoot very well when they're undefended. So I think the number 3 seed actually goes with a 0 defense approach, and they go triple O. The number 2 seed picks up 2449 on the way back up, who play really good defense. If they have a climber added, it's a no-brainer. And to wrap it up, I think the number 1 seed picks up 7755, who have experience defending. They can maybe taxi and put in some low balls, and then they can climb mid-bar or low with their every block climber. And then I have the bracket shaken out as it should. 1 beats 4, 2 beats 3, and 1 beats 2 in the finals. That was a very long-winded way of saying I think the Coconuts at their first event take it home. Alex, what about you?
I have confidence that 498 will be able to take it home. You guys really wowed me last time. So my prediction is the Coconuts will also be doing really well. It's just that 498 will be able to outdrive them, be able just to score a little bit more, eke out the number 1 seed over the Coconuts at their number 2. Also, I wanted to say, I did not guess at the third robot in each alliance because, frankly, it's really a toss-up depending on the specifics of who gets red cards, who is like what drivers are doing well, kind of thing. So it's really hard for me to predict that, especially at a smaller event. So I didn't predict that. So it'll be a little difficult to compare to see who did better, Luke. But
we're pretty close though.
Yeah.
My one question is, and it's my fault because I typed it in probably wrong. Is 6479 the captain of the 4 seed, or is that who you meant? My bad. the slide guy strikes again. Listen, what can I say?
Well, so what I had is 6352 is the captain of the Fourth Alliance, and they partner with 8021. I'll just here. I think it also got a little mixed up because I did mine in a different order than yours. But
Okay, so who's the 3 seed? I fixed the 4
number
seed.
number three was 6413 and 8745.
Okay,
All right.
wait, I put a call in to my slide guy, and we're back. It's fixed. Slide
Cool.
guy working on the fly.
Great.
So now we have the correct thing. So we're pretty similar in our 1-2. I think, and as an anecdote, right, when we talk about how the June event played out, Plasma was ranked 1 the whole day, and then
Yeah.
just by happenstance, in a weird game, unlucky game to be honest, they ended up ranking 3. So we have 4 or 5 teams kind of at the top of this list here, that just with how many games we're going to play and the different alliance pairings, how many teams will play together, anyone can really rank 1, right? So
Yeah.
I think your list looks good. My list looks great.
I
I
think
expect to
my list
go.
even better.
I expect to go 100% with my picks this weekend.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
I have a slide after this, but let's find out. No, I don't. So it's back to
Dude.
us faces. So we're wrapping up. Before we're done, I just wanted to thank again our title sponsors, if you will, for the entirety of the ARL, Honeywell and the Arizona Diamondbacks. They've been incredibly supportive of the whole thing from start to where we are now, and they continue to be. So we're really grateful to have them on board. I want to say thank you to all of our planning committee members and all of our volunteers, both in the past and for this coming event. Y'all are awesome. I want to extend again, shameless plug, another invitation to teams who are watching to sign up. You can register up until Thursday night. You can register Friday morning. You could register if you're there. I don't care. Show up. We'll make it work. We really want you guys to come out and play. If you need to leave your robot at the school because your teacher can't be there, but they'll drop it off for you, let's work it out. We want it to be as easy for you as possible. We want everyone to be able to participate. Again, the events are free. They are going to be running from now until October, and our championship is in November. So you still have time to compete. I'm expecting a very, very large team pool come in the next coming months in the August and the September and the October event. I'm expecting we're going to have a lot more than 14 teams registered. So if you really think about it, coming this weekend gives you better odds at doing well because there's less teams, and that's math. Okay.
More points, more bragging rights.
More points on the table for everyone to grab. So once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Please check out our socials, right? We are AZ Robot League on Instagram and Twitter. If you're not part of our Discord, join that and talk in it. It's a little dead right now. It's a little dead, a little weird.
It's the off season. Can't blame them.
Yeah, it's off season. Kind of in the middle of the season for ARL, but off season for summer for everybody else. So join that. We start some good discussions on who we think. Drop your predictions in the Discord. I would like to see them. Follow us. Click a follow on the Twitch channel. That would be cool too. That's kind of it. Thank you. I want to thank Alex for coming in, filling in this week. We hope to have more of him for the coming episodes. Maybe I don't be on one of these and the show explodes. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but really, Alex, thank you. I appreciate your insight. Has been awesome.
Of course.
Okay, well, I guess that's it. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody this weekend. Please come on out. Open to the public, free. If your team's not competing but you want to come by, Cactus High School, put it in Google Maps. Come on by. It'll be a good time. And actually, my last thing is if you guys have any ideas for future episodes, not just the warm up episode, or the extra innings episode, but if you have any, like, you want to have a deep dive with some drive coaches on the strategy from this past year, or how we break how we do kickoff on 498 or something like that, or on any team, let me know. Reach out in the Discord. Tell me you want to have an episode where I show you pictures from me in high school. I don't know. Let me know. Let's do it. We're here. We can make whatever content you'd like. So anyway, thank you everybody again. Looking forward to seeing you this weekend or at the extra innings episode next Wednesday at 7 p.m. I'm going to play the music now because we're going to outro. Thanks, everyone. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.